Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. This is one of your hosts, Joe Copeland. I'm sitting next to the older man, Adam Lazarine, and the also older man, Dustin Moore, who both had birthdays recently.
Hello.
I don't think, did we tell you happy birthday?
My back.
Yeah, no, man.
No. Don't do that because your day is coming, my friend.
Hey, it's already here, brother.
Oh, okay.
I woke up yesterday and it was my birthday, and thank you guys for wishing me happy birthday. It was very much enjoyed.
17, 18.
That feels like that times 5. Not quite that bad. Not quite that bad. But literally, because like we talked about, I have just started getting back into the gym. As you guys know, I don't know if we've really mentioned it much on our recordings or anything, but there were about 3 weeks where I was unable to work out because of health issues, and boys, it killed me.
Yeah.
I mean, it killed me because I didn't have that way of working off frustration, but it also killed me because I had to start again. And the lactic acid hit me within hours. And I, like, by the end of the day, Saturday, I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that one extra mile run after I lifted. I almost regretted it. I did regret it yesterday when there was a whole lot of leg movements, and I really regretted it this morning when I got out of bed. So
I'm glad to have you back in the gym, man.
Dude, it's exciting.
It visibly changed your mood when you weren't able to work out. Like, I'll just say it. You were a different person, man.
Yeah.
You were
and not a good person. No, I know. It's okay.
He's a grumpy old troll. That's what he is.
Listen.
It's like, man, get this guy
who
some
lives
dumbbell.
under a bridge.
Get this guy a dumbbell.
That's right.
Let him lift something.
There you go.
It's funny.
No, I don't know. For sake of updates and accountability, right? Because we do that occasionally on our episodes when we remember to. No, but as far as updates and everything go, it has been a busy season. Yeah. There has been a lot going on, both in work and a lot going on with youth because, it's camp season. So we've got tons of things to prep and prepare and get ready for. And then on top of that, just a lot that's been going on in my personal life, dealing with the health issues and things at home, where there has just been a massive amount of frustration and stress.
Yeah. And
for those who didn't know, part of the health issues that I had is I had a small surgery on my neck. Typically when I'm stressed, it sits across my neck and shoulders. And so it was like literally the worst experience going through it that I think I've ever gone through.
Yeah. You were walking around like a robot because you couldn't move.
I was walking around, trying not to move my neck as much as I possibly could because I didn't want anything to go wrong. Mm-hmm. Right. It was the stress of I want this to get done and fixed properly. Yeah. But that's not the goal of today's episode. That's just me updating you guys.
Thank you for that update. Sounds like you need to go grill something. Oh wait.
No. I need much more than that, Adam.
All right.
I need to hit a PR.
Do you think that a coach would help you?
I think especially
point.
As I was getting back into the gym is where I was going with that initially. Definitely so, because like I hit that first workout and I had sought some advice from Joe last week and said, hey man, so I'm planning to get this first workout in and I'm ready to get after it. Like I want to hit it hard. Like how far do I need to push it? He says, well, I would probably slow it down a little bit. Maybe stop. I think he told me like 10 reps on my sets.
I said just do 3 sets of 10 on the workouts that I already prescribed.
3 sets of 10 on everything that you had planned, and don't kill it. You'll be fine. and give yourself some. Basically, what you told me is give myself time to work back into it.
Yeah.
Because, as we all know, that lactic acid was gonna hit, and I was gonna be sore. I enjoyed the feeling. It's fine. I missed it. For those who aren't reading between the lines, I did not listen to Joe.
Yeah, you probably did the four sets of 12.
I didn't do 4 sets. I did 3, but I did 12 reps on each set. Is there supposed to be 4 sets? Because my workouts don't have 4 sets.
Oh, no. Some of them do.
Some of them do.
Okay,
Yeah.
some of them do.
Some of mine do. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Jerk. I mean,
But,
that extra 2 reps will make a large difference.
Hey,
I don't know why, but it does.
And it was one of those things where I was feeling it by about rep 8 on every set of every movement.
So you had to grind through those 4 extra.
I pushed through it and I got it done. And you saw me yesterday. I was back at it, but definitely not the best shape I've been in. And there were several times when I was going through different sets and movements where I had to pause.
Yeah.
And we talked about this because you were back there training somebody else while I was working out, and I was trying to learn some new movements and everything, which was fun. Thanks for that, by the way. That, like, the tips you gave me for the front squat, absolutely lifesaver. Because I felt like I was going to die before you helped me out.
Yeah, well, good.
So yes, a coach is beneficial.
Yeah.
Joe,
if you don't take their advice,
helps me a lot. Even if you don't take their advice, because it makes you realize you should have.
There you go.
No, I get satisfaction from that. People come to me for advice all the time, and I give them the information I think they need. And I'm pretty sure what's going on in their head. They're like, I'm going to ask you this advice, but I'm not going to listen to it. And then they come back to me. I didn't do what you said, and this happened.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have listened.
Yeah.
I've explained to y'all, like, one of my pet peeves is when somebody's coming to sign up for a membership, and I give them the option to either do some one-on-one training or some virtual coaching where I just build their programs like I do for you guys. And they're like, no, I really want to do that, but I want to get a few months under my belt first. I've explained how that just makes me want to do angry things. And so that's kind of what stemmed this idea to talk about. Let's talk about the number one or the top couple reasons that everyone needs a coach, everyone needs a trainer or some sort of mentor, specifically for the first half, talking about for their health and fitness goals.
Sure. I think back to, and we've talked about this subject several times on the podcast. I haven't been shy with it. Of when I first started, I was intimidated.
Yeah.
Right. And to be truthful, I didn't know where to start. I think about our gym where we all work out, and I think about the machines that are in there, and there's some things that were pretty obvious: the treadmill, the bike, the elliptical, things that I'd used before. But when it came to weightlifting, I had literally never done anything. I'd messed around with some dumbbells, not done any proper movements, never been taught form or anything, so I didn't know how to protect myself from being hurt either. Yeah. But when I started, there was this lack of knowledge is how I describe it, that really I needed somebody's assistance to be able to overcome. To be able to really approach the start line, in my mind, I needed that little bit of extra help. And, when you start and you're going through these things, and we've talked about this before, right? At first, everything's exciting because as it's new and as your muscles adapt, like your weight starts to go up, like you're hitting PRs. It's really fun to go through that process. But what happens eventually?
You stall,
right? Yeah. You hit that point where I would almost describe it as like a growing pain, right? Like you hit that point where there's going to be growth, like you're going to go past this. Yeah. But it take a little time, maybe take a little extra work, a few extra tips on how you can improve your form so that you can lift better or more efficiently. Yeah. And as somebody that was new, as I was going through that process, that very quickly was a wall that I wouldn't say that I ran face first into it, but I saw it approaching quickly. Yeah. Right. It made me super thankful to have someone who could help, to where when I felt that struggle, I could go, hey, like, so I don't really know if I'm doing this properly? How can I adjust this? A big example for me is bench press. When it came to that movement, when I first started learning it, it was something that intimidated me because I'd never done it before. I wasn't sure how wide to grip the bar. I wasn't sure, how to position my body or how to make sure I was like too far forward, too far back. And I remember going through several workouts of bench pressing because it was what was programmed and, things didn't line up. I think I was doing it literally on the day that you weren't there.
Yeah.
And there was one day that I ended up struggling with it. And I remember that next week coming to you and saying, hey, I want you to show me how to set up on this properly.
Yeah.
And from the second you showed me, everything changed.
Yeah.
I needed that little bit of extra, information that I didn't have.
Yeah.
In order for me to continue to push the way I had been pushing.
Yeah. Right. There's this concept that I like to talk about called the self-serve pharmacy. And I use it in relation to, I work in a hospital setting, and so we work with physicians who send their patients to us. And so we have a pretty cool system here working where if a physician thinks that a patient needs exercise to combat, I don't know, high cholesterol, diabetes, some sort of chronic illness, they send them to me and they trust me that I know what I'm doing to help them with that condition.
Yeah.
But most everywhere else, most other places, if you go to the doctor and you're overweight or you have diabetes, all they're going to say is you need to eat better and you need to go exercise. And then they leave. They send them on their way.
Shout out to my childhood. Thank you, Joe.
Without giving you any sort of instruction whatsoever. And so think about this concept of like a gas station that's a pharmacy and it has all the medications in the world. They said, this is what you need. Just go pick up the medicine that you need. And then you go and you have to look at all the shelves. Okay, I don't know what I want. Is this right? Or I don't know. How much of this do I take? Where it's like a self-service like pharmacy. And that's what happens most of the time in the gym is people come in, they're like, okay, I'm here. I know I need something from here, but I don't know what to pick. I don't know what to choose. The doctor told me all I need was medicine or all I needed was exercise, but I don't know what to do now. And so how do I get started? And so that's the majority of people have no clue where to get started. So what they do is they walk in the door, they look around, they see the dumbbells, those look intimidating. They see the machines that have all these levers. I don't know. And then they see the treadmill. Okay, I can do that, so I'm going to go walk. And then that's what they end up doing for their exercise that their doctor prescribed them, which awesome. They're in the gym. They're there getting something done.
Cardio. Cardio.
But they're wasting time basically when they could be doing something that is prescribed to their condition, to prescribe towards their goals that they can get, that they know is working specifically to combat what they're going through or to work towards their goals. So you mentioned it. That's the number one. When you have a coach, they will help you skip through the growing pains of trying to figure out what the best program for you is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think about where I'm in that stalled out phase. I wouldn't say stalled out. I can still make gains and I can still do the things, but it's taking longer.
Sure.
The gains are more minimal, but whenever I get to that point, I can look at Joe and say, okay, I can't get past this number on bench press. And he can say, your chest is probably plenty strong, but your shoulders need more work. And that would not come from my own knowledge. It may not come from my own knowledge or research, but because he's a coach and has done, I won't put you in that realm, but you know what I mean? Because you have been there and done that and seen clients and done that as a clinician almost, then you would understand there are more things to the bench press than just your chest. Yeah. Exactly. So you can find gains in other areas to increase, what you're actually wanting to do, or in squats or any movement. There's, the main muscles that you're working and then the secondary muscles that are stabilizing and helping and doing all the other work that you don't see. And
even a simple bicep curl, like there's more that goes into it than just coming up like this. Like you got to think about your shoulder positioning, you got to think about your angles and stuff like that. And by the way, I did not mean for this episode for y'all to be just like tell me how awesome I am, but y'all can keep it coming. I like it.
I mean, you're pretty great sometimes.
No, and Adam, you're easy to work with because you already have all that experience in athletic training.
Oh,
you've
I'm
been
not.
Dustin,
So
on the other hand,
we'll keep it coming for Joe. We'll keep piling it on for Dustin. All right, good.
All right.
No,
It's
I didn't
okay.
mean that.
I've got big shoulders. It's okay.
Yeah.
I've been doing shrugs.
That's fantastic.
Oh man,
You
And
know, it's.
go ahead.
I think you're right. I think it's like it's just one of those things where having that extra bit of experience and information just helps to not motivate, but push us further along.
Yeah.
It makes the sailing portion of it go smoother,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like sailing, but you have a guide who's
Yeah.
telling you which direction to go.
Yeah.
A guided trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a guided fishing trip.
Yay.
Hey.
Look out. Look out.
Yeah.
At this point, let's see. I graduated in 2014, and I started
Old.
training at a gym about a year before that. So I've been training for how many years is that?
2014, man. I
Is that
graduated high school that year.
What year is it? Okay, that's about 8 years.
8
right?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been training for 8 years. Over that span of time, I've trained hundreds of people. You know, for whether it's a couple months here and a couple months there, or whatever, or virtually on a virtual coach basis. I've seen so many stories and I've read so many case studies that I understand what kind of goals
Sure.
are realistic.
Yeah.
And so that's most of the time when I see somebody quit their gym, get out of their gym habit, and they stop trying to lose weight or whatever, it's because they're not hitting the goals that they wanted.
And now you get to work with the pure athleticism that is Adam.
No,
That's right.
Dustin, you said that incorrectly.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that
Yes.
vote of confidence.
So
You know, it's one of those things where when I think about the experience of having worked with you, I really, and I can't emphasize this enough because for me this has been the biggest thing, right, is the fact of safety. Because as I've mentioned, like there's a lot of these things that I didn't know, and even with the way we're positioning our body, right? Because like you said, when we're doing a bicep curl, it's more than I'm just lifting it up and I'm lowering it.
yeah.
There are things with our form that has to be done properly.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we will put extra stress or strain in places that don't need it
Yeah.
and end up being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've talked in other episodes, there have been some times where we pushed ourselves a little bit and been hurt,
Yeah.
right? And it stunk to go through that experience. But I honestly think that a lot of the lack in that department that I've had has come from the tips and help when it came to form, even
Yeah.
in small ways where you've helped to push me to kind of correct myself. And that'll literally be me in the middle of my workout just zoned out, and then all of a sudden I see Joe coming up next to me and he starts to like do the motion that I was doing, but he's doing it properly or better than I was, and I'll just like take my headphone out and he'll say, "Hey, so when you're doing this, try and really like put your emphasis here, like focus on this." And like those little tips, when I went to do it next, I was like, "Oh, so that's what this should feel like," right?
Yeah.
That's just me though.
That's one of my favorite parts of my job is like when I see somebody doing it wrong and
You're
then they do
wrong.
it correctly and like, oh man, this is hurting.
Yeah.
But the good kind of
Yeah,
hurting.
like we have a saying whenever Joe is working with somebody and trying to get them to do different movements. If he ever says, "Oh, I love that one," you know it's about to torture you.
Oh yeah, Adam, I introduced Dustin to the Z press yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Congratulations to your shoulders.
I don't know if that's the word for it.
Well, they're probably throwing a party for you today.
Yes.
They, they're actually not too bad.
Yeah, for the listeners, a Z press is a barbell overhead press, or you can do it with dumbbells, but where you completely remove the lower half of your body by sitting down and straighten out your legs. And so it requires so much core activation, and then also just obliterates the shoulders.
Well, I mean,
And so it's one of my favorite
My
shoulder
core
movements.
is pretty solid.
Well, mine not. So I appreciate that. the worst part about Z press to me is the in between. What do I do in a rest when I'm sitting on the floor already? Do I lay down? Do I just sit there?
I laid down. Listen. When I did it yesterday, I was recording the whole time, and in every movement, I finished the set that I did. I stopped the recording, and then I did my other 2 sets off camera.
Yeah.
Z press, I hit record, and I stayed on the ground. And in between sets, I just laid back and was like, I'm not getting up.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing graceful about me getting up or on or off the floor.
We're big graceful
dudes.
about me, period.
It's like a giraffe trying to lay down for a nap. I don't know what
giraffe. Well, at least you don't have the elephant look I do.
Come on.
I'll go for the hippopotamus.
So thank you for introducing us to those things and for keeping us in the right form while we do it. And because it's critical that you keep the right form for your body safety and for your activities of daily living.
I remember, one of my first experiences starting to work with Joe is our initial, I guess, what do you call it, consultation meeting, where we sat down and you kind of walked me through like how working with you works as far as the workouts and stuff, like all that good stuff. And then you asked me, so what are your goals? And I'll be honest, I had no idea where to start. I simply was like, well, I want to lose weight, build muscle, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
And as we talked, not even through that meeting specifically, but over the next like several times and continued to engage, and we talked, the subject of goals continued to come up, I should say. I remember you kind of guiding the conversation over a course of however long that was, to where those goals started to make sense in my head of, okay, so this is what's realistic, right?
Yeah.
This makes sense. I was trying to describe or define this, but I really need to focus on this being the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, when I started, I would almost say that my goals, I would not call them unobtainable. I would call them a stretch for a beginner, especially.
Yeah.
I needed a foundation to build off of. I needed a smaller goal to prioritize and really to get my mind wrapped around what I was doing.
Yeah.
And you kind of helped me to go through that process.
How do you walk somebody through that process of going, I want to look like that guy on the poster or that guy on the internet, and you realize that might be possible, but it's not going to be possible for the next 15 years.
Sure. Yeah. Like, say you're in the streets of Slovenia and somebody walks up to you and says, hey, so we got these posters around here, these guys that do this podcast. They're really popular. And I want to look like they do. How do I do that? How do you walk somebody through that?
Okay, this goal of us 3 guys is not that hard to obtain. It's actually pretty dang easy. You
SpaghettiOs.
Eat more.
No, people, like I've explained before, people come to me on their mountaintop. And they're ready to lose it, and they're super highly motivated. I want to lose 100 pounds this year. 100 pounds a year is possible, but it's going to take so much work and dedication.
Yeah.
And so just, taking their mind off of that year, and let's focus on this first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus, especially if they're coming from a really bad place, let's focus on being consistent for this first month.
Yeah.
And then taking, we can have that year goal in the back of our mind, but we have to take smaller steps.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the biggest way to go about that. And, and a healthy way, y'all have probably heard this before, a healthy way to lose weight is 1 to 2 pounds per week. And that's pretty standard. Yeah. And so 52 times 2, I guess that's 100 pounds. Huh? Yeah. So I guess that is realistic.
I guess that is realistic.
The math checks out. But
his illustration is blown up.
Anyways.
Just like that. Joe's opinion out the window.
There goes all my credibility,
I know.
guys. What the point I was trying to make was
you're a fitness specialist, not a math major. It's okay.
That's the one. Yes. Yeah. Anyways.
The point you were trying to make.
The fact that Well, I lost it at this point. Let's just end the episode.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking.
We have been turned off
Most
in
people-
Slovenia.
Here. I took a jab at you. I'll give you a compliment. How about that? Will that make up for it?
Y'all have given me plenty of comments, and I really feel like it's pretty awkward. I'm not too good at taking compliments.
No, okay. Well, you're getting another one.
Bring it on, Dustin.
So-
Pile it on.
So, one of the most fun parts about this whole process of working, and we're using you as an example, right? Because you're the obvious face in the room, and the only one I've ever worked with as far as doing any kind of, being coached through anything or trained, But as I was going through the process that was my fitness journey, early on, was being able to take everything that I learned or was being told or was being corrected on and starting to be able to apply those things and the things that I was learning on my own.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to, when I walk in the gym, even if I don't have one of the pre-prescribed workouts, I can identify and go, okay, I want to specifically target this muscle group is what I'm going to work out today. These movements is what I can prioritize or focus on because that's going to do it really well. I want to throw a little of this in there, and I can walk myself through the process because I've gained the knowledge. And having that help initially to understand not just the what to do, but why that specifically, that set me on a track to be able to, do things on my own.
Yeah.
To where I don't necessarily need that help so often. Now it almost feels like more. You'll give me a new set of workouts. I'll look at it. There'll be one or two movements that just based on the look of it alone just freak me out, and I'll be like, all right, so I'm gonna prioritize getting those workouts in when Joe is here, and then I will say, hey, specifically, I want you to walk me through this one.
Yeah.
And then once you do that the first week, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm golden even. And then it's just you saying, hey, lift heavier. You can do more. Right?
Yeah. Over my 8 years of training, there are a handful of clients who, if they did not have that one-on-one appointment with me, they would not show up. And so there is that. But also, for the most part, I don't think people need to be with on one-on-one trainer with people every single day if they don't have to or if they don't absolutely want to. My goal is to educate them in where they feel comfortable in doing all of these exercises on their own. And so even if you don't think you have the means to hire a trainer to work out 3 or 4 days a week for until ever, even a 1 hour session where I can go through with you and teach you how to do this and how to do this and how to do that, and then leave you on your own, that you'll be much better off feeling more confident going into the workouts on your own. And so that's really about that.
Yep. And I'm glad that to be able to have the knowledge that I've learned from other people, and then I can also turn around and share it with other people. And I think, not whenever it's unwarranted or unasked for, but whenever somebody does ask a question, if somebody were to ask for help in the gym, then you've got the knowledge that you've learned, and then you can share it with somebody else.
It's super exciting. I think back to another episode that we recorded, and we discussed specifically gym etiquette and offering tips, and I mentioned during that that there were some high school guys that were working out that I said, hey, if you'll shift and prioritize doing this or focus on this to fix your form is what I was doing, you'll feel it a lot more. It'll be better for you. You'll get more out of it. And so being able to take what you have given me and being able to turn around and help others with it, there is something to that is just overwhelmingly, it makes me feel good that I'm not just helping myself and pushing myself to do this. Now there's others in it with me.
Yeah, that's cool. So a couple of weeks ago, we recorded a Father's Day episode, and so that's what this reminded me of is having a spiritual leader. So
Mm.
kind of we kind of talk about having someone in the gym that coaches us through our health and nutrition. I think it's so important to have a person in your life that you could call a spiritual leader or a group of people. And Adam, this made me specifically think about you. Is I'm assuming that it's probably hard for you to find a spiritual leader. Is it? I don't know. Am I going about that wrong?
It's not necessarily difficult, but I think there are people that I lean on whenever I have a question about specifically about the church or about leading the church. I usually tend to lean on other pastors.
Yeah.
And that's just, most of that is an experience-based thing.
I got you.
It's because they've experienced what I'm about to experience, or they have insight into how to deal with this situation. And so I try to lean on those kind of people for help.
Okay, yeah.
As far as a spiritual mentor, I wouldn't even say that's as difficult as well. It's just one of those things that I'm very guarded with it, I think.
Yeah.
And I try to, I limit those things to just a handful of people. And whenever I need the counsel, I seek it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most critical part of a mentor or a leadership relationship, a spiritual leadership relationship, is when you actually need that guidance, just like you do in the gym, you have to seek it out. You can't just guess at it. You can't just go, I'll try this and hope it works out. You have to actually go and seek out the counsel that you need.
Yeah.
And so a spiritual mentorship or leadership role goes both ways.
Yeah.
Sure. The spiritual leader gets to be there for wisdom and counsel and advice, and an ear to listen, and the mentee gets to seek that out and just kind of eat away at that whenever they're hungry.
Yeah. I like that.
And so that's kind of how I see that.
Yeah, I've always thought about it in a sense of essentially if we had two glasses in front of us, right? And one of them represented us and say it's filled with water, and the next one next to us is empty, right? In a lot of ways, we, regardless of whether we're pastors or not, as believers, pour into others, right? And so we take that glass that is us and we start to pour it into that cup that is next to us, we'll call our neighbor, right? But then we set that glass back down, and what's happened to the water level? It didn't reset, did it?
No, it's down.
No, it's down. And so eventually, if I do that to all of these neighbors, right, eventually my cup becomes empty, but it needs refilled. Yeah. It needs to be poured back into. So as much as we pour into others as a spiritual leader, we also ourselves have to be poured into.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I think one of the things that lends itself to is the fact that mentorship or spiritual leadership is rooted in submission to Christ. Both parties have to do that.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. Otherwise, one gets the balances out of whack. And so, as the mentor or the spiritual leader is submitting to Christ, then they are being filled, so that the mentee, as they're submitting to Christ, can seek out that knowledge when it's necessary. Yeah. Otherwise, the balance is out of whack. And so one will be more weighted if it's on a scale or a cup of water or whatever. It'll be out of balance. Yeah, that's good. And so it's rooted in its submission to Christ as the leader, and he led so that we could follow. There's so many passages of Scripture that talk about, follow me. And in Matthew 16:24, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Yeah. Jesus led so that we could follow him, not so that we could just, be present with him and sit with him, but we have to get up and follow him and seek him out, just like you do a mentor. Yeah. So if you don't have that, seek one out. Definitely pray that God would reveal that to you. And I always say this, for mentors and mentees, let's make sure that if you're a married man, seek out a man. Don't seek out another woman. Absolutely. If you are a married woman, do not find that in another man. Yeah. It's okay that it doesn't have to be your husband, but do not, when you seek out that mentor-mentee relationship, make sure it is of the same sex, because we don't want to cause any problems or temptation for marriages. Yeah. And even if you're not married, it's probably safest to do it that way as well.
Absolutely.
And Dustin, you could agree with that as an unmarried man.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just be careful with that, but make sure and pray that God would show you that person and seek them out and start that relationship, because there's a lot to be gained from it, just like there is a coach in the gym. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to follow that up with, not that this episode was meant to be like a sales pitch or anything like that, but I am here for anybody out there that needs help, whether you're local here or if you're in Slovenia. We have wonderful means of technology. I don't know the time zone there. I might have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to meet with you. I don't know.
Sick.
Yeah, but anyways, I have the capability to coach any of you listening. And same thing, Dustin and Adam are here if you need somebody to talk to, and I am too. Email us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com if you need to speak with somebody, and we'd love to just pray over you. That's what this is all about. We want to be an outreach and a ministry to help anybody that needs it, fitness, health, or in their walk with Christ.
Yeah. I hope you get one client from Slovenia.
That'd be so awesome.
It would make my world, man, if I did. I would have to get like a Google translator, but...
Yeah, you would have to like send a poster of your face.
Yeah. Oh, wait, if they're listening to us, that means they understand English though, right? Or is there podcast translators out there? I don't know. Rabbit hole.
Well,
why don't you research that and come back to us
next week's episode? We'll figure out how to translate for all countries. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check us out on all of our social media platforms. And like Joe said, reach out if you need any assistance. We'd love to point you in the right direction or help you if we can. And that's right. Is there anything else? Just for the record, 52 times 2 is 104.
Yep. We'll see you at the table next week. Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload Podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives.